So today I want to go to this website, Really Good Boxed Wine. I think there's some interesting things to take a look at on this site. So right off the bat, there's a lot happening here. I have to confirm, I have to accept. I've got this accessibility thing here. I've got chat with us. All of a sudden now I have this 10% off. I'm not sure how to get out of that. So I'm blanking on how to get out of this. I'm not sure what's happening behind this. Ah, there we go. I couldn't see the X there, but I finally got out of it. So now I've got this get 10% off, hiding behind this accessibility thing. So what's really interesting about this, and then at the top there's these two banners. Right off the bat, when I start to look at this site a bit, it's actually pretty nicely designed. But on my first entry into the site, I was just overwhelmed with so many things that I just didn't want to go further, right? I can see there's at the bottom, there's 3 things that are overlapping. At the top, there are multiple banners. There's just too much going on here. Okay, I think it's incredibly important that they slim this down and not, hit people with so many of these pop-ups and overlays and ads right off the bat. There's got to be a more targeted way that you can offer these different options. So in terms of practical advice, a couple things I would suggest here. One is, let's get rid of these little hovering widgets at the bottom of the screen. As you can see on mobile, they really do get in the way. I'll do a separate video on why the accessibility one isn't a good idea. So that one can be removed. And then chat with us. I like the functionality, but on the homepage, that can just be in the footer. You could potentially have this appear as a widget on an account page. Someone logs in to check their orders or something like that. That makes more sense to have that be more prominent. But on the homepage, that can just be in the footer. The second thing I'd say is look at the sequence of age verification to cookie verification. Okay, those are necessary evils, but you can look at the sequence the way that it was on this site. One's flying up from the bottom, one's popping up in the middle. It's very sort of discombobulating. I think just having that be a sequence that when you have new customers come in, they go through and it's nice and clean and easy would be important. I'll mention too, I did a separate video on age verifications, so you can check that out if you're interested in more in that. And then if someone comes in new and they get the age verification and the cookie verification, don't also then pop up a third thing, which was the 10% off. Okay, if someone was here last week and they don't have to do the age and cookie, then fine, you can hit them with the 10% off, but don't hit them with all 3 on the first page if they get those. And that's not that difficult to know in the code, where whether they saw those or not. So just being a little more careful about that. You can, if you can't pop it up on the homepage, you can pop it up on a subsequent page, and that would be fine. But having 3 pop-ups in a row is really confusing and annoying. And then looking at the top of the page, I think going on this 10% off, you have the 10% off, you have the save 15% on the wine club, you have the save 25% on any 3 wines. You're trying to hit me with all of those at once, right? Be a little more targeted. Maybe use some light personalization, like, am I logged in or not? Do you know who I am or not? And then also use some location-based things. So obviously, once I click into the wine club, if I'm interested in the club, then you can really emphasize the save 15% always. But trying to hit me with all of the different potential promotions all at once becomes very overwhelming. And so, pick one banner to have at the top, and maybe, again, use some light personalization to determine which one it should be, or based on which page they are on the site. But again, those are some other ways that you can really clean this up a bit and make it a lot easier to use.